before she come in, but she's here now. She's here now. Without further ado, man, welcome to the show.
Man, I apologize for being late. I don't know why my computer was tripping. Have you ever just wanted to throw a computer on the ground and just jump on it 10 times?
No, but the next time my computer mess up, I'll definitely do, I might
Oh,
consider that.
man.
I
Okay,
can't
but
afford
I'm
to be
here.
throwing
I had to
away.
do my phone because
I
computer's
appreciate you coming
tripping.
in on a Monday night.
Thank you. How you doing?
I'm doing well, and you said you were just wrapping up, and you obviously in your studio. So let's start
Mm-hmm.
there. You on
Okay.
Crenshaw Boulevard,
Yep.
you
World
know,
famous.
world famous Crenshaw Boulevard, and you have your studio there. You want to talk about your father and how y'all came to an existence?
Sure. My dad has been in radio, well, was in radio for almost 60 years before he passed. And we saw that radio was changing, that podcasting and internet radio was becoming popular. So maybe in like 2011, we built our first studio, which was called Roscoe's Media Center, which
Mhm,
is located on Pico, across the street from Roscoe's.
mhm.
And and then I decided after my last job that I didn't want to work for anybody anymore. Radio had changed so much, the music, the DJs on the air, and so I decided to build my own podcast studio here in the heart of the community.
Mhm. And and you mentioned that it's changed. What's been the transition from you being on 92 to now in your own studio? What has happened that has now
Well, what's changed is that everybody is playing the same thing on radio stations around the country. There was a time when back in my early days of radio that you can go to a different state or a different city and know that you're in that city by the music that they
facts,
played.
facts.
They supported local artists. But now it's the same 10 songs in rotation at every radio station around the country. So there's no distinguishing um, what area or region you're in because you're hearing the same 10 songs on the air. And plus, although traditional radio is still very important to music and information, um, internet radio is definitely coming up right behind it. So after a while, traditional radio is not going to really be in existence like we see it today.
Yeah, it's funny because I think the same thing because I haven't cut my radio on, I would say, all year.
Yeah.
I'm either listening to YouTube or podcasts or even like now in cars we have this internet radio stations like Pandora and stuff like
Yeah,
that. So I'm
or
not
you can plug in your USB and play right off your play right off your phone. But yeah,
sure that.
Pandora and YouTube and places like I guess Pandora, but YouTube is like up there when it comes to music discovery.
Hmm.
It might be number two after traditional radio. It's the
Hmm.
number this number two place where people discover new music. So
What music do you like now? Who you feeling?
um I like her. Um I like Kendrick. I'm not really, to be honest with you, I don't really get into a lot of the new music.
Hmm.
I'm still stuck listening to hip hop from the 90s and
Hmm.
early 2000s, R&B for sure. But I haven't been really keeping, I hate to say it, I just haven't really been keeping up with who's doing what. I like WAP, I like Cardi B.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah.
When you go back to your early days, how did music influence you, and why, outside of your father's influence, why radio?
Well, your first question, how did music, because I was a rapper before I
Hmm.
got
Yeah,
into radio.
yeah. Hmm.
So hip hop really influenced me. I was a big fan of Boogie Down Productions, KRS-One, and those were the groups that kind of, inspired me. I moved to LA like in the mid 80s, so that's really when stuff was really starting to happen out here for hip hop groups.
Hmm. And
Um, mhm.
and you dropped your first album when in '92, if I'm not mistaken.
In '92, it was on Poetic Groove Interscope Records.
Uh huh.
I was actually label mates with Tupac and
Uh huh.
Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch
Okay.
and Gerardo. So I was the only female rapper on the label at the time, and they
Oh.
really didn't know how to market me. I wasn't a Little Kim. I was in between maybe like Queen Latifah and um, I don't know.
Uh,
Yeah, I was a conscious rapper, as
yeah.
they say.
Did you get a chance to meet Tupac? Obviously. Yeah. And
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I met Pac. I met Pac really through Digital Underground. I was real cool with Money B
Uh-huh.
and Shock G, so I really got to know Pac through them.
Mm. Now, if you can, how would Pac's music transform hip hop today?
I think Pac. I think what's so legendary and what's so dope about Tupac is that he was able to articulate
Mm.
what a lot of brothers were feeling in the hood, in the community, and he knew how to articulate their mindset. He knew how to articulate how they were feeling, how they were living the lifestyle. So I think he would probably pretty much be doing that now. I think he'd probably be more on the conscious political tip
Hmm.
because of course he would be older and he would have that wisdom. So I definitely think he would still be articulating, um, how we feel in the community.
Mm. Do you see a parallel between he and Nipsey?
Um, I don't.
Hmm. You
I
think that
don't.
you think they're different?
I do think they're different. I think the difference is the way they were raised. Um, Nipsey's family is from the Emirates. So I hope I said that right.
Uh-huh.
And Nipsey was an entrepreneur. We didn't see that in Pac.
Mm.
We didn't see that Pop. No, I'm gonna say Pop probably didn't have the chance to do that. It's not to say that he wouldn't have done that if he was still alive, but I don't see the parallel. I mean, although I will say that Nipsey too articulated what brothers are feeling in his neighborhood,
Mm.
his lifestyle, what he has seen. So in that aspect or respect, I think there might be similarities.
Mhm. Now, speaking of neighborhood, why did you fall in love with LA so much? Why LA and why not go back to the Bay? Or I'm pretty sure you had opportunities to leave and maybe go to New York,
Well,
something like
I
that.
always felt like LA was the heart of the entertainment business. When I was growing up, my father was a big DJ in Oakland, KDIA and KSOL. And so I was exposed to the industry at a young age. And so I knew, like at 9 years old, when I graduate high school, I'm moving to LA.
Uh-huh.
And my dad had already moved out here in the early 80s. And I said, as soon as I graduate high school, I'm going to live with my dad. I'm going to get into the music business. And I did exactly that. And it's really a trip because I knew at 10 years old that that
Wow.
was what I was going to do. And what's crazy is growing up, I was running the streets,
Mhm.
getting high, doing stuff that could have easily derailed my plans.
Wow.
But I stayed on point because I knew I had my eyes on the prize. I said, no matter what, I am moving to LA to be in the music business. And just before I moved to LA, I was working in Silicon Valley before at the birth of it. I had a
Wow.
great job at Stanford University as a junior
Mm.
technician. But I was like, this is not what I want to do. This is not me. It's not my dream.
And you landed on 92.3, right?
Well, when I first got here, I actually was an intern at RCA Jive,
Mhm.
and I got to work with Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, and BDP was on that label at the time as
Mm.
well. So I was an intern there, and then after that, Lee Bailey
Yeah, Lee Bailey.
from EUR Web
Yeah.
and from Radioscope,
Yeah.
he offered me a job um, to do the Hip Hop Countdown and Report.
Mhm.
And so I started doing a syndicated show back in 1989
Mhm.
and started doing the interviews. That's when I became a journalist as well. And so from there, I caught the ear of Michael Mixon Moore, rest in peace.
Mhm.
And he invited me to do a little hip hop report on a show called The Joint with King Ems and Mike Nardone
Mhm.
on 92.3 The Beat. And that little 10-minute news report turned into a part time on air
Mhm.
position on the weekends. And then I ended up being there 13 years after that, and I did every shift. I became the community affairs director, and after that, the format changed, and I decided to quit because it wasn't. It's not. There was no more room for growth.